Hello everybody, welcome back to the Advanced Vape channel. Before we get started, really quickly, I'm going to talk about the next giveaway that I want to do just for a second. So, normally when I post a new video, I get a lot of people making comments about the coils that I use in the videos, and those are all made by me. So I thought, as an idea, for the next giveaway, I would have maybe 3 winners be able to choose whatever kind of coil that they want, and I'll make it for them and send it to them. They would have to pay like $1 or $2 on shipping because of the rules with giveaways. But I'm just wondering what you guys think about that idea, or if there's a different idea that you'd like to see for a giveaway. So anyway, let's go on and talk about the KYLIN RTA from VANDYVAPE. So if I'm not mistaken, VANDYVAPE is run by someone who used to work for Geek Vape, or in some way that those two companies are connected, and I sort of see that connection in the design of this tank. And there's a really obvious connection between this particular tank and the dual coil version of the Amit. They look almost identical. The airflows look a little bit different, but as far as the functioning of the tank, they're very, very similar. So that's probably not going to be the last time that I mention that parallel between those two companies in this video. So this is a dual coil postless tank. I'll go on and take the top off here. I've already got a build on here, and as you can see, it has these side airflows that are, I guess, supposed to be angled air. Even though they're really not angled. They're cut at an angle, but the airflow is straight up and down. And there's a center airflow. So the Amit dual coil looks almost identical, except for this side airflow is little segments, I believe, instead of one continuous thing. So I was really excited about this design, but just in using it, there's a couple little usability things where the execution bothers me, and I'll talk about that a little bit more once I get past the dry fire and wicking and everything. But basically, if you want to hit both of those airflows, it's really hard. So you want to try and move the coils over as much as you can to cover this airflow, but as you do that, this airflow is left open. And the obvious answer to that is to go bigger with the diameter. But as you go bigger with the diameter, that means more cotton, and that means wick speed issues. So there's sort of you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place on this. You want to go with bigger coils so that you can take advantage of that airflow. If you completely ignore one of the airflows, you're going to just get straight air, and that's going to really hurt your flavor and performance on it. So you want to try and be getting hit by both this center airflow and the sides, but that's hard to do with a 3mm diameter, which is what this is. And I've tried 3.5, and it worked better, but the wick speed, even wicking very lightly in the length, was not quite where I would want it to be. And I'll sort of talk about that just a little bit more once we get to wicking it. So the build that I use today is a framed staple build with an alien wrap over it, and I will try my best to get a good view of these coils during the dry fire, but it might be a little bit difficult because of the way this tank is designed. So let's go on and zoom in and go through the dry fire. Real quickly before I go into firing, like lots of postless designs, you're limited on the number of wraps, the width going this way, that you can go with the coil. So as you can see, these last legs are just a little bit squished looking because although this is 5 wraps, it's a really wide wire, so I can't really go wider with it. I can go bigger diameter, but more wraps is going to be an issue, and that's the case on a lot of postless designs, and that's definitely true on this one. Okay, so it took a second for such a big wire to get through all those little hot spots. I was trying not to move the coils around too much. And let's go on and talk about wicking. I'm going to be using Kendo Gold on this, and the goal here is to block these holes, but not fill up those wick channels. And that's even more important. It's absolutely critical when you're using bigger diameter coils, and that kind of gets to be a problem. It gets to be a problem on those bigger coils because there's so much cotton in those that even though you cut it really short, it's still just a little bit too much for it to wick fast enough. This is just one of those tanks that wick speed is going to be an issue. So I'm going to put my scissors right about where the bottom of that little lip is and cut there. Now I'm just going to gently push them in those holes. So it's okay that there's a little bit going down in the channel. It's really packed in there loosely. But if you're going with 3.5 diameter coils, you want there to be even less in there. You don't want there to really be any cotton in those channels at all. And I might end up trimming it a little bit once I wet it down and see how much it fluffs up. So let's go on and do that. Yeah, I'm going to take it out and just cut the dry ends off there. Another thing you want to make sure that there is no overhang of cotton there. So as you can see, there's cotton overhanging the end of the deck. And when you go to put the chimney on, it'll get caught on there. And I've had builds before on this where I just had to keep going back and forth trying to push the cotton in because it would get stuck as it's going on. And it can be a little bit annoying. So you try to have it pushed back as much as you can. See, as I'm putting it on there, I can feel that it's hitting something. So right there. There we go. So this RTA, this is the extended tank on there. It comes with both sizes. A small size that's just, you can see where the chimney extender stops. It's right there in that threading. So it's that tall in the normal version. I put the extended on there because with the shorty kit on there, the juice, it just absolutely blows through it and you're just constantly refilling it. So I felt like I was having to refill it just a little bit too often, so I put the tall one on there. And as you can see, there is no top section holding the glass. It's free on there. So you need to be a little bit careful filling the tank, but for the most part, these O-rings hold onto it fairly tight. And by the way, it comes with different colored O-rings. The clear is the one that's pre-installed on there, and I went ahead and put the orange on there because I like the way it looks. So let's go on and fill it up a little bit. I had the juice flow open on that one. It's not that that big of a deal if it's the first refill, but once this empties and I go to refill it again, you're going to want to close the juice flow. If you've used many Geek Vape products in the past, you can see that the way that this tank functions, not talking about the design of the deck, but the way the juice flow is and the way that the airflow looks, all of that stuff is very, very much like a Geek Vape tank, like the Griffin or Griffin 25, all of those. And it sort of shines through in the final product, the way that it feels. It just feels like a Geek Vape product. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but there's that design that you can see there, especially in the way that the airflow and the juice flow control works. So I'm going to put this up at about 110 watts, and we'll give it a try with the airflow all the way open. All right. Sorry, I'm having a few issues with this tripod. I'm using a taller tripod on this because this mod is so much taller than the ones that I normally film with. So I had to use a bigger tripod, and it's having a few issues. As for the tank itself, the wick speed on it seems like it's performing well. It's a lot better than it was performing when I had the 3.5 millimeter diameter coils in there. Flavor is good, but it's very much like the Geek Vape tanks to me. And I think that's probably almost entirely down to the way that this bottom airflow is. The deck design is totally different than something like the Griffin 25, but they end up having a fairly similar vape. I would say this has better flavor than something like the Griffin 25, but they have a similar feel. And sometimes the flavor can feel just a little bit muddled when you compare it to like the Gay or the Modfather or something like that I would consider to have excellent flavor. It's good flavor, but it's just a little bit muddled to me. The flavor is kind of blurred together, and it's just lacking just a little bit. But I'm sort of being really picky on it at that point. It does have good flavor. I like the design of the build deck, and I'm excited to see what that design will be once it gets a little bit more evolved. I feel like it's not quite developed as much as it can be. I feel like it could perform a lot better. Just mainly around the airflow design. The actual deck itself is fine, but I would make the airflow design a little bit different and change the size of those wicking channels if I was redesigning this. And I'm sure that with these big name companies coming out with a design like this, there's going to be a lot of other companies evolving on that concept and continuing to come out with this sort of postless design with two sets of airflows. So I'm really excited to see where that goes. I feel like this is a good first step on that design. I feel like overall, if you like Geek Vape products, you're going to really like this tank. They're very similar to me, and that they sort of fit right together in that niche that Geek Vape has, sort of middle of the range. So I wouldn't call it the best flavor that you can get out of an RTA at all, but it is really good flavor. It's easy to build on and well made, and not expensive. All of those things it has in its favor. But to me, it's just it's good flavor, but it's not excellent flavor. So that'll bring us to the end of this video about the KYLIN from VANDYVAPE. If you like this video on our channel, give us a like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave them below in the comments or send me an email. And I'd really like to hear all of your input on the contest idea that I mentioned at the beginning. Thanks.